Welcome to the Block Party Academy, a series designed for Ferris State offensive linemen, but also for you to learn the foundations and fundamentals of playing offensive line from the ground up. Today, we're talking about the other side of the ball, defense, and we're talking blitz. So tap in. Welcome to another edition of the Block Party Academy. My name is Sam Parker. I'm the offensive line coach and run game coordinator at Ferris State University. And today we're going into our defensive breakdown and continuing our series. 2 episodes ago we did fronts. The previous episode we did stunts. And now we're going to the next element in the box, which is blitzes. Blitzes, you know, a lot. I know that you can go cross-eyed trying to name all the blitzes that you see. A big thing with blitzes is being able to keep it simple and understand from the offensive line perspective what's going on and communicating that. I know I see in a lot of systems for breakdown is, you know, using full words to describe the blitz. You have your cross dogs, dogs AO, SCAR, war, NCA fire. Like, there's a lot of ways to, you know, put it in. And for defense, it's simple because you're working with, you know, as many blitzes as a defense has. They're running 4 in a game, right? But they're running them very effectively, very well, and out of a lot of different fronts and formations. So we want to be able to have flexibility in determining these blitzes, but we also want to be able to understand and very clearly what's going on with them. So how do we determine blitzes? We determine blitzes by a very simple determination. Okay, we have boundary, we have middle, and we have field. Okay, so those are the 3 areas that somebody can blitz from, and we can combine them because you can have middle boundary and middle field, okay, to add into this equation. And if it becomes if it comes field and boundary, that is, whoops, my mouse is, I like having a sharp mouse pad here and I ain't got one. Oh, for goodness sake, I just erased my excellent illustration. So boundary, middle, field, and outside. So those are the 4 areas that can hit. We say outside meaning it's come from both boundary and field. Okay, and you can have an MO, which means it's middle, outside, and then what we're going to do is plus the total number of blitzers that are coming. Okay, so as you can see these illustrations here, boundary 3, boundary 4, boundary 5, boundary 6, and I don't think you can have a boundary 7, but that means all of the pressure and the blitzers is coming from the boundary. Doesn't matter what position they're playing, doesn't matter anything, but when we're seeing a blitz from a 2nd level defender or a 3rd level defender and they are coming from the boundary, that's how we label it. So if a guy starts from the boundary and ends up inside here, it's still a boundary, what would be here, boundary 6, okay? So this is kind of nice to know, and typically all you're going to see are these 2 when it's just a boundary or field, vice versa, right? Is seeing a boundary 5 or a boundary 4 with somebody dropping into this spot. So, you know, when we see that it's an over or an even front, a 4 down, and they give us a boundary 4, I'm expecting a part of that stunt to hear if somebody is dropping out, which there should be, right? Is hearing boundary 4, drop, rush, end. So again, we have boundary blitzes, middle blitzes, field blitzes, and then outside blitzes, which is a combination of this one and that one. All right. So very simple on where they're coming from. So here we're seeing the middles, okay? So we have a middle 3, middle 4, middle 5, middle 6, and then you also have the outside 3, outside 4, outside 5, outside 6, meaning that the 2 blitzers are coming from the outside. If they stem back in, right, we're still going to call that the same thing. And so what you can do, and what we will do, is once we have all of this data in there, right, we see all of the boundary 5s, but like we can tell where the blitzes are coming from. When they're running one over and over and over and over again, that's when we can name it something. I think the most common is that cross dogs in the, the middle. It would be a middle 6 with a crosser here. Well, yeah, we're going to call it something, right? And if you're not creative enough to call it anything, you're just going to call it a boundary 5, boundary 6, and the guys will know exactly what you're talking about. And based on the stunt, right? So here, if I look at outside 6, okay, if I say it's a even front, even, empty, bon son, outside 6, pinch. In my head, I already know that the pressure is coming from the outside. By hearing pinch, I know that the 4 defensive linemen are pinching this up, and you have an exactitude of exactly what happens on the defense just hearing those quick, that quick description and determinations. If I see it here, right, a middle 6, and I can see it's an even split middle 6, then I know these guys are coming from second level. So very, very, very precise, but very simple on how to do this, okay? And then you get into the combinations. You have middle boundary, middle field, middle outside. And the middle outside is the only time that you should be able to see that number 7 and at some point 8. We did happen to see a team in our conference last year blitz, I believe, all 11, which was a first, and then the other team took the ball and threw it for a touchdown. It was like one of the last plays of the game. It was pretty crazy. Like, I'm surprised they didn't get home. But, you should not see anything more than an MO7. Sometimes you might see an MO8 in short yardage, but I don't think the blitzes are absolutely necessary in those to label them. Like, that's kind of the technique of what they're doing. I think if you're labeling a blitz there, it would be coming from second level. But here's all the blitzes, okay? All the areas they can come from. And again, the second number, okay, so where you see a 4, 5, 6, that is the total number that are blitzing. So up here, all right, you can see that we have a 5-man box here. We have 3 down linemen, a buck, and a Mike. And we're seeing a middle boundary 4, meaning that one guy is pressuring from the middle, one guy is pressuring from the boundary, and there's a total of 4 guys attacking the quarterback. When the 5th guy is dropping, we include that in the stunt. So whether he's dropping or stunning, that's what we want to include in the stunt. So more than anything today, I just wanted to show clips, right? And all of these we're taking sacks on too. So buckle in, boys. I think when you draw up a blitz, right, and you put it all out there on paper and like, oh yeah, this is textbook how to pick it up, all right, what are you learning from that and teaching it to other people? Like, you need to see why it's so important to identify blitzes, why it's so important to pick them up, and why it is so important to have your eyes and talk the talk and learn this the proper way. So we're watching a sack tape today. We're dialing into us getting teed off on, and also too, like for my guys, like, yeah, like I hope you're getting heated up if you're on the field, and if you're not, then you know what the expectation is to get on the field. And if you're not in our O-line room, this is You know, I love seeing teams, you know, being honest and transparent about themselves. And most guys at clinics and presentations would never do something like this because you feel like you're going to lose credibility. But I think it is phenomenal to see these blitzes and label them and talk about them. And also, yeah, they're getting home. So buckle in. This is going to be a fun little outing for us. So, okay, let's get into Montana. These guys were excellent. They were a multiple front defense. They were a national runner-up this last year in 23. So let's just start off here, okay? The front that we're seeing here is a cheetah and a stack linebacker alignment. When we see roamers here, we can determine that we're going to see some sort of blitz, okay? Right? Anytime that we see defensive players with happy feet creeping, all right, these creeps, these weirdos that play defense, we know that we're getting a pressure, okay? So if we pause it right here, and before, right, we're in a cheetah front, we can now determine it's split. I like still calling it stack. And with the blitz, it's anticipated that we're going to have creepers. So this is a middle field 4. And the reason it's 4, and this is a little bit tricky, right? Count the total number of blitzers. So right now we have 1, 2, 3 guys attacking the quarterback, 4, and it would appear 5 and 6. But look at the 5th and 6th guys. So that would be the nose and the D end here. The D end goes out on flare control with the running back. And the nose, as soon as he recognizes, drops back to this point. Okay, so this is why it's a middle, meaning middle. He is attacking the middle, those B to B gap inside. Field, we have a pressure coming from the field. And now we can get into, you know, the front and what we're seeing. So we could say that this is an angle from here, but because we're saying middle field 4, the expectation is that this guy is coming off the edge, and that's the one the tackle needs to get to. So as we look at all these blitzes, let's also talk about picking them up protection-wise. And that guy should be getting this one. This guy should be getting this one. This guy should be getting the A-gap defender coming through here, the middle. This guy getting this one. And now this is the real challenge for this tackle. And before we were isolated and locked up on him here, but because teams are doing such a great job with these sim pressures, right, we got to figure out a way to get into this one. So our rules, you know, we're checking inside to outside here. And because we see happy feet, the expectation should be all the way, okay, I got this guy one-on-one here. And not to mention, the nose drops, and we have this kind of a play, leaving a sack. So here we talk about, like, okay, we got our front recognition. They're in an over front. They shift to a cub front, all right? And here they're running a field 4. So Buck is dropping out of there. The Mike's all the way back here. Mike ain't blitzing. Also, look at their feet, guys. You know, this guy is a great player who does a good job of disguising his feet, right? He's giving you a little bit of happy feet, but he is back almost 10 yards in this look to this point. Now, and then also, let's count the blitzers, right? So this guy is coming, all right? He's the field defensive end. We call him the rush end. They're in a cub front. So the totality of this is we have a cub, Mo, and let's just switch this, right? And we have Bon, Ron. The blitz is a field 4. So that just means this guy's coming, a pop. But we also have a angle from the defensive line. Now, picking it up protection-wise, you can already see what the issue is we're sliding to a guy that's dropping and cutting loose a really, really good edge player who just tramples over our running back that's out here for support. And not only that too, guys, but if you keep watching, they're running a pretty natural gait in on the inside of this, of this one and this guy coming around here. So, I mean, what these guys are doing is really, really advanced and really complex while still remaining pretty simple in how they're getting to it. So here we go. We have an Indian front. So 2 inside defenders. We have 1 linebacker here, so a Mo, and the blitz is an outside 6. All right, that means that the 2 defenders that are blitzing, let me show it from the wide. So we have this one and this one that are blitzing here. Okay, and how they're getting to these points too is this one is coming C gap and this guy is going B gap. Boom, they're getting home on this one. We're in a 5-man protection handling this thing into here. And this nickel that's coming through there is boom. Now, one of the things too that we can, again, we want to keep it simple, right? So an outside 6 is perfectly serviceable with calling it. Where did they start off from? But this guy is going B gap and this guy's going C gap. If it matters to us, if it really is an issue of what we want to do, which I think it is because of this guy getting here, we can always add or tag, you know, field B. We can always call this something else, you know, and also too, make sure that you are always thinking of those stunts, right? So even if this guy is coming from this one, we can still use the phrasing, right? End around tackle. So if we think of that stunt, tackle first, end around, okay, that would be a text. So here, Michigan Tech, we are looking at a Cub front. 1 linebacker in the box, so that's a Mo. So we're seeing Cub, Mo, and then with a rush end and the Mike, or it could be the strong, so we can say Ronson. And that's okay, like whatever you label these guys, it's fine to, you know, as long as you're consistent with how you're tagging it. So if I say this is actually the Mike, that doesn't change that there's only 1 linebacker in the box. It doesn't matter who's in the box. Like, it's who's standing in this spot. This is the Buck linebacker. Or maybe this is the Buck linebacker, this is the Mike, and this is the strong. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent with how you label it, okay? Nobody's ever lost a game because they labeled a guy as strong who was actually a Mike, but they lined up in the exact same spot. So here, this is a, you know, a very, 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 very easy one, right? We're seeing a boundary and a boundary 4. You know, that rush end is the only one that's coming through there, right? And then on the interior, we're seeing a gate. Not to mention, we're running a screen and taking a sack on a screen, which is almost a sin. There's something that drives me crazier than taking a sack on a screen with 4 guys rushing out. So here, breaking it down, and you can also see a really good clean look of it. Cub front, 1 linebacker in the box, displaced, you know, a further displaced Mike linebacker. So maybe we're not even calling that a mon. It's close, and I don't mind it. So this one here is an over, okay? So we're in an over front. You might ask, like, okay, this guy's dead in the middle. I always call that a G technique whenever he's square, as loose as he is to the guard. That's okay for me, right? And now we have this split linebacker alignment. We actually ended up adding one because of teams playing like these different levels and calling it a tower technique. It's fine to just keep calling it a split. We like saying tower because it does alert us of this here, which let's see if that's what we get. Happy feet from the linebackers. Yup, here it comes. Now, a couple of things here. One, right, is we determine and we recognize fronts, all right? And again, how we label this. So this is an over G split. Look at the, you know, if you're looking at your ID triangle, there's a lot of goofy stuff in here. They've got 8 guys buried in the box, all on different levels. So you know, there's a lot of like, hey, there's going to be some funky stuff coming. As soon as the hut comes, we're seeing this middle, and what's the middle for, to be honest with you, because look at the DNs. We're seeing spies from both of these guys. They are not a part of the pass rush. They're spying for the quarterback, playing contain. So this is an over G split, middle 4, which is across dogs here, out from the defenders, and then spy, rush, DN. And now, how will we pick this up, right? If we're in a 5-man protection, okay, number one, if we feel good about cutting or recognizing that this is their top one and being in a full slide to this, right, and our quarterback being able to throw hot off of one of these 2 edge guys, that would be ideal, right? But that's not always the case. So these 2 guys being locked up into this space, we need to make sure that they are setting in and in, thinking A gap and B gap back out to this spot, all right? So as you can see with the right guard here, as he sifts and sets, as soon as he gets back to here, he can tee off and come back in, and at the very least, create a lane for a quarterback to get up here, because this is what has happened with all these blitzes. And for the most part on the blitzes that we're seeing, everything is coming back in with the fast guys, and all the big guys are coming out and picking off the tackles. Before, you know, back in the day, that DM would be here, and that's where all that pressure would come from. So, you know, seeing the oversets to this point, we're, you know, I'm friggin' coaching an archaic style of pass pro right here. We're, you know, picked up. Our guys are set to those DNs, but at the end of the day, we're cutting this guy loose. And also at the end of the day, you know, when we're having 6 guys dedicated to the box and blocking with 5, we got to get that ball out of there now and get rid of it to this point, you know. So there's a bunch of miscues on this one. And at the end of the day, you know, in terms of recognizing the blitz, we're very close. I think our center oversets to a point. And with exactly how they were coaching these guys, you know, for that game, I mean, that's what we're doing. So here we have an under G, and we have a Mo. Let's see from the wide what we got here. I think, did we get the try cut back in the day? No. So we have a Mo alignment, but really this is a stack alignment. We're a very spread stack, but so you can go Mo or, you know, stack to this. And now look, count how many people are blitzing. We have a total of 5. And we have 1 guy dropping to this point. So this is a middle field 5, meaning we have a pressure coming from the middle in between the B gaps. And then we have 1 coming from the field. And here, they get home on us. So let's see how this goes. And yeah, I might have said under G, but this is an under. See how he's right on the center, and now he crosses face. So this is always just a kiss of death. If we're sliding to this point and this guy drops, it's like, man, we're kind of screwed, because we're going to fall short on one of these dudes coming off the edge, right? And here you can see it. And so this guy relates to him and bails on the pressure. So maybe this is a middle 4, basically. Guy in the middle is wrapping around here, because although this guy looks like he's blitzing, he starts playing him man-to-man. I'm not sure if that's what he was supposed to do or not. But this is the tough one, right? Because the tackle is setting into the A gap or the B gap here. The guard sets in, recognizes this guy crosses over and turns back for his kill shot. Back out to this spot, but he sees the tackle's got him and tries to get around it completely. But too little, too late. And just a really generous, soft sack. So here we have an Indian, and once you know it, very similar, right? Except it is a middle field. Well, do we have one coming from the field? No, it's just a middle 5 here, okay? Both of these guys start off inside, come around. We have a long stick in through here, and this guy as well. So pretty, you know, this is a really dangerous one because look at all the space that's available right here with this guy running through it. Both crossers to it. So now what do we got to do here, right? We talk about that set in to out. These guys are setting towards the fan side of this one. He needs to be setting in to out. And what's going to alert him to that this guy is coming over here is exactly what we talked about with the technique of the defender being in an under. Okay, he's in an under. I'm expecting this right off the jump. This cross face to this point. I see it. I'm taking this one. I can alert the tackle to get eyes into this spot. So again, this is an under, split, middle, 5, drop, D end. I think we took like friggin' 7 sacks in this game, so you're going to see a lot of clips of the boys in blue. And exactly what they want here, right? This is what, you know, why you line up in something like this. So head up over the center. When this happens in our protection, in any protection, right, at any level, the first thing that you want to do is say you got big on big, okay? And that's like a very basic notion. Set hut, and now what happens? They are running, okay? They're running a middle 4. Very simple, nothing fancy. 4 guys blitzing, this guy dropping. But here's the stick of it all, right? He's thinking he's got this one, he's got this one, he's got this one. He's thinking I'm going to have to set in for this guy here, and he's got this one, okay? So that's what these guys, what they're going through in their head. On the hut, this guy is stemming into here with this guy looping around here, okay, which would be a gate stunt. They're basically gating right here. And look at how fast this guy gets back through into this space. Boom. So how do we resolve this, right? Number one, how often is this guy actually coming out of this front? It would appear very, very, very seldom. And the main pressure that they want to have are these 4 over here. So we can full slide it this way. All right, well, let's say we don't get that savvy and we don't have a feel for it, and we also are worried about this guy getting here. So we want to set, okay, we want to set with the slide coming this way and be able to set into out here on our lock side to this spot. So what would end up happening is this guy comes here, he comes around here, makes a collision with the center. This guy, you know, if he sets vertical and he sets vertical, this becomes less problematic versus him hitting the tackle's hip. So you can see that how the tackle, look at how fast our tackle reacts to this. You know, he sees it on the jump that this guy comes back and is immediately looking for his kill shot. And these guys are so close to getting there, but, you know, at the end of the day, look at the space this guy can run through because of that one there. And how far our center has to go over, as well as this guy looking out here for an edge pressure. So again, the front that they are running here is we can either categorize it as an underload with the strength here, but we're going to just keep going with the cheetah. All right, so cheetah front, Mike or one linebacker, so Mo, so cheetah, Mo, Bond, Buck on the line of scrimmage, middle 4. And if I want to add that stun in there because of this, I can call gate. So here we're seeing a cheetah front, roaming linebackers, right? They're never settled. We should know right from the jump that we're going to be seeing some pressure. And here we're, you know, pretty close to being picked out. We got Sif going with the left tackle. The pressure that we're seeing here. Okay, so we got Cheetah. And I know that, you know, that guy is still 3 yards off. So Cheetah, Mo, and we have 2 linebackers walked up. If we see the wide on this one, So this is Cheetah, Mo, Bon, San. And we have a boundary 4 pressure. Oh man, we take a sack on this one. Dang. So here we can see it through all the way. And I think the faster you know, when you look at the wide copy as an offensive lineman, you're looking at the defensive front. So as I see it right now, this is an outlaw, but it is from now on a Cub front. So we have Cub, Mo, and then also too, guys, I mean, just by glancing at this coverage, gets your eyes alert to it. The first, you know, the easiest coverage to learn is any sort of man-to-man. And here you're seeing cover 1 all the way, and it's 1 free, meaning this guy is dropping back. And now, what else are we seeing here, right? We're seeing a defensive end in trail mode. Okay, so we're seeing, and that, just based on that, I know that there's 5 guys in coverage. They're playing cover 1 with a DN trail, you know, man-to-man with the running back here. So that is a, you know, that leaves 5 guys in for the blitz. So it's a middle 5. So we have a Cub, Mo, all right? And if you look at the stand-ups, we have a Don Ron, and we have a cross dogs on the inside. So our center stays on the linebacker that comes through there, and the next one wraps around. We, you know, pretty much unless we have the slide coming this way for this one, all right, and working this in to out here, or just having the full slide to this element on the swing from our running back, you cannot pick this up with 5. If you slide it the other way, somebody's getting free. If you have the lock side, you know, the other way, this one's got to pick up 6 late, which is a little scary. This guy gets this one, and 92 is getting home. So here's a good one, right? We got a lot of dudes walked up on that line. So we're going against a cheetah front. There is nobody at the second level here, okay? So that's got to be alerting everybody. We got Bon San, meaning Buck on, Mike on, and Strong on. And look at this blitz that they've got here. This is a middle field 5. We have a total of 5 guys pursuing the quarterback. 22 falls down, and man, they still make a heck of an effort on this one. Decent amount of time for pro, and they're getting home on it. So here we go, right? Cheetah, stack, happy feet. And again, when we talk about that coverage, right, you can see all these guys man-to-man up here. And this guy, so versus free, where he's in the middle of the field, but based on his alignment here, he's playing like a rat technique, trying to rob anything, you know, over the middle or come into this spot. And here it's a simple middle 5. We have a stunt game going on here between these dudes. We got this dude really spying the quarterback, and this dude dropping into this space here. Yep, and as soon as we start seeing the fronts, you know, the more that you can see the wide copy and determine what they're doing or what you're seeing, I think is really beneficial. So here they're in a 4 down. Let's see from the tight. Yep, over G. So the field is this way. Here's the 3 technique. We have a Mo here. We have a Bond from this guy, and they are running a middle boundary 6. So actually I circled the wrong guy. Look at the Buck linebacker that's walked up on the inside of this D end here. And again, ID triangle, right? They are a gap short into this space. So, you know, somebody has to be coming into this gap. So it looks like it's, oh man, look at the stunt they got going on here. So they're running a text from a nose guard into this space with this guy looping here. This, you know, backer coming through here. This guy going in through the A gap, B gap, C gap, 6-man pressure. Close to picking up Oh, and take one here. Dang. So, versus saying all of that, right? What's the front? It's an over G, Mo, Bond. We have a middle boundary 6 with attacks. So I hope this was of benefit. Just going through, and obviously this, the blitzes, it's very simple, but you can see how many there are, right? You can see over and over again these repeated patterns, and the biggest way to develop your ability to call them out and see them is to just watch football as much as possible. Go onto YouTube, watch teams' third down packages, watch, anytime that you can see a third down highlight, because that's when teams blitz most, go into their most crazy fronts and movements and trying to disguise stuff. But when you boil it down, like all of that, I mean, you should have been sitting there counting the amount of people that are moving, following how many guys are actually pursuing the quarterback and who's dropping, and the different ways that they can manipulate it. I really think that the more you just watch tape and the more that you really look at the defensive side and how they're blitzing versus staring at the ball with the quarterback is of great benefit when it comes to these, pressures, movements, pops, stunts, blitzes, all of that stuff. So it's very important. And the more that you can see, the more your eyes open up, especially as an offensive lineman. They talk about, how the game slows down. The game slows down because your eyes open up. When you first get on the field, you're like this, okay? Because you're huffing and puffing. The harder you breathe, the more your heart's working up, the less vision that you have, the more that you're doing that stuff, and you're not really in your savviness as a veteran. But by the time you get to be a veteran, you've seen a bunch of different blitzes and stuff, and it's almost natural to pick them up and into that space. But it's also very very much significantly super easy to spot these rudimentary blitzes. Like one linebacker, you're like, man, that's nothing. Okay, they're adding a twist to it. Yeah, we saw that against this team. And your eyes slow down. And the more that you see those tendencies and that you study the tape and you know what they're doing and you know how they're running their blitzes, and you can tell somebody they're bringing a field 5, hey, man, they're bringing a middle field 5 with the tacks on the backside. Like there's a bunch of, you got to be able to talk the talk to have the total fluidity that's needed. So we, covered fronts, we've covered stunts, and now blitzes. The next thing that we'll do is coverages. Maybe, I don't know. I'm indifferent. Having coverages on the Block Party Academy channel, something might be wrong with that. I might just go into full defensive breakdown mode and then kind of incorporate coverages into that, kind of show the big picture items versus spending, any time on it. I honestly don't know why I'm telling you this. The video will already be done. I've already made up my decision. You have no say in the matter, and I'm just talking out loud. I'm killing time. There's no reason to extend this. I don't know why they think 37 minutes, 38 minutes is short enough. Like, it's perfectly a good amount of time. So if you want this presentation, click the link below and to download it. If you're one of my guys, go find it on Huddle and watch those clips. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bada bing, bada boom.